Hello friends! You're on the Last Days channel. Thank you so much for your engagement and support. And so, a review of events for October 31st. United States. Fire crews are battling a rapidly spreading wildfire in Riverside County. The Highlands Fire, which started on Highlands and Awonga roads in the small town of Awonga, was first reported around 12:30 p.m. The blaze was estimated at 30 acres. By 4:30 p.m., officials said the wind-blown fire had spread to 325 acres and was already threatening homes. Later, the flames did reach structures. About 4,000 residents were evacuated. China. Dense smog has enveloped the capital of China. Local authorities have issued an orange weather warning, which will remain in effect until November 2nd. According to the National Meteorological Center of China, heavy smog will cover Anhui, Jiangsu and Sichuan provinces in the next 3 days. Beijing became the second most polluted metropolis in the world on Sunday, according to an international online platform. Jamaica. A powerful 5.7 magnitude earthquake shook Jamaica, damaging buildings and forcing people to flee due to strong shaking. The quake struck about 5 kilometers west of Hope Bay. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. The tremors were recorded around 10:57 a.m. and were reportedly felt across the island. The Bahamas, Cayman Islands, Haiti, the small outer islands of the United States and Cuba also felt the impact, seismologists reported. Although Jamaica experiences about 200 earthquakes a year, large quakes are rare in the island nation. The U.S. Geological Survey states that Jamaica shares a common fault line with Haiti and the Dominican Republic.
This is crazy.
Italy. Flooding caused by heavy rainfall continues in Italy's Emilia-Romagna region.
Posso più tornare a casa. Andiamo bene, basta.
Kamchatka. The highest active volcano in Eurasia, Klyachevskaya Sopka in Kamchatka, spouts lava up to half a kilometer high. The volcano is destroying rock. Now the lava fountains on the Klyachevskoy volcano rise up to 500 meters above the edge of the vertex crater of the volcano. A vapor gas column containing some ash rises up to 7 kilometers above sea level. A powerful lava flow moves along the Apakonkachi Trough. Its movement is accompanied by collapses of pyroclastic rocks from the sides of the trough. The volcano station specified that for the Klyachevskaya Sopka lava ejection to such a height is quite rare. Kamchatka authorities reported that in the settlements located in the immediate vicinity of the volcano, a sufficient stock of food has been formed. Operational services have been put on high alert. Australia. Queensland. In Queensland, Australia, 2 people have died and hundreds have been evacuated due to wildfires. One man died defending his property and a woman died while attempting to evacuate due to cardiac arrest. The deaths followed the deaths of 2 firefighters in New South Wales last week. Authorities have warned that the situation could worsen. The Queensland Fire and Emergency Services said 3 major fires in the area were set deliberately. About 350 people have been evacuated from the Terra area, where out-of-control flames have burned more than 11,000 hectares of land and destroyed 16 buildings. Hundreds of firefighters have been working for weeks to put out wildfires in 4 Australian states: Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales and the Northern Territory. Authorities have warned that high temperatures and dry winds this year could lead to the worst wildfire season since the Black Summer of 2019 to 2020. El Salvador. Due to the approach of Tropical Storm Pilar, El Salvador authorities have declared a state of emergency. The U.S. National Hurricane Center predicts that Pilar could bring heavy rains and flooding along the coast within El Salvador in the next 48 hours. The element is expected to pass near the country's coast Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. However, the epicenter of the element will remain offshore. The government has declared the highest red alert in a 4-level meteorological warning system. Minor flooding has already been observed on the central coast and in the east. Wind speeds are currently reaching 65 kilometers per hour and meteorologists are warning of possible strengthening. Pilar could reach hurricane strength on Tuesday. Mexico. As a result of Hurricane Otis, which hit the resort town of Acapulco last week, the number of dead and missing people has reached almost 100. The hurricane, with winds of up to 266 kilometers per hour and heavy rains, caused significant damage to the city. Powerful wind gusts tore off roofs of houses and hotels, and intense rainfall flooded roads and vehicles. Road and air traffic was disrupted due to the weather. According to the state governor of Qurayat, 45 people were confirmed dead and another 47 were missing. It is estimated that the cost of damage from the hurricane could be as high as $15 billion. Mexico's foreign ministry said it was able to locate and remove 263 foreigners from 9 European and American countries from Acapulco by Monday. However, it did not specify whether that number was final. Earlier, the government said 10 citizens of other nations were reported missing. 600 hotels, more than 273,000 residential houses and 120 hospitals and clinics were damaged. More than 200,000 consumers remain without light. The military are evacuating the population and tourists from dangerous areas. The country's authorities have declared a state of emergency in the state of Guerrero and Acapulco. Hurricane Otis became one of the most powerful hurricanes in the history of Mexico. Brazil. Extremely severe flooding occurred at the Iguazu Falls on the border of the Argentine province of Misiones and the Brazilian state of Paraná. Floods were also recorded in Deus Vizinhos. Heavy rains in the region caused a series of floods that inundated homes and some businesses.
Pessoas retirando os pertences ainda, tentando trabalhar, retirando aí o que pode mesmo.
Kenya. Heavy rains have hit Elwak in Kenya, causing some of the worst flooding in the area. Khimki, Russia. A gas station caught fire in the suburbs of Khimki. The fire engulfed the territory of the gas station in the Khimki microdistrict Qurayat. At the time of arrival of the first fire and rescue unit, there was observed the ignition of pallets and cabins on an area of 60 square meters. The fire was extinguished. To extinguish the fire attracted 10 units of equipment and 33 people. The cause of the fire was depressurization of a propane tank. 5 people were injured, 4 of them were hospitalized, the Russian Emergencies Ministry said. Qurayat, Oman. Prolonged heavy rains have caused severe flooding in Qurayat in Oman. Flooding in Oman has been going on for several days, forcing the evacuation of several thousand citizens. Our planet. The sun's activity could peak in 2024. The solar maximum, which can last for many years, is the equivalent of space weather, hurricane season, scientists say. As the sun approaches the peak of its current solar cycle, our star becomes more active, and they believe this peak could come sooner than predicted. About every 11 years, the sun goes through a period of low and high solar activity, which is related to the number of sunspots on its surface. These dark areas, some of which can be as large as Earth or larger, are driven by the sun's strong and ever-changing magnetic fields. During a solar cycle, the sun will go from a quiet period to an intense and active one during a peak of activity called a solar maximum. The sun's magnetic poles change places, then the sun will calm down again during solar minimum. It was originally predicted that the peak of activity would begin in July 2025. Experts now believe the cyclical peak will likely occur in mid to late 2024. The current solar cycle, known as the 25th solar cycle, has been saturated with more activity than expected. Scientists at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Space Weather Prediction Center in Boulder, Colorado, have already tracked more sunspots than were counted at the peak of the previous cycle. United States. Scientists have identified on the territory of 4 American states giant cracks in the ground. They appeared due to human activity. Surveyors have mapped 272 kilometers of faults in the south of Arizona. In addition, formations are identified in California, Texas, Utah. An employee of the Geological Service believes that the failures appeared unnaturally. According to him, the cracks indicate tension in the Earth's crust. They surround flat areas over a large area that have subsided after losing groundwater support. This phenomenon can damage homes, roads, and platans, as well as jeopardize the safety of animals and people. The scientist blamed human activity for the subsidence, as over 80% of the cases were the result of underground springs that provide half of the population's drinking water supply. When too much groundwater is pumped out of natural aquifers, it causes the ground to sag and crack.